Hello everyone, welcome. Thank you for joining in the Dubai Marketing Group Facebook page with me, Umesh Agarwal, your trusted retail pro. Every fortnight, I bring you a specific topic from the retail industry and do my best to provide you as much info as I can in an easily understandable way. The idea is to impart my knowledge and wisdom, which I have gathered in the past 20 years of working with the retail industry. Before I speak on today's topic, let me thank my friend Kishore for giving me the opportunity to speak on this channel, which has got close to 38,000 active members. Secondly, I also want to thank the audience for watching the live session, which I did around 3 weeks back, which was my first session, which was on the topic of neuroscience of consumer behavior. So without much further ado, let us start today's session. The topic, as you already know, is the magic of visual merchandising. I'll be speaking about the what's and the whys and the hows of the visual merchandising and why this is important in the retail industry. So let me dig in. So let us first understand what does visual merchandising mean. So as I always do, visual merchandising is made up of two plain English words, visual and merchandising. So visual is related to something or display which one can see. And merchandising is generally used in two different terms. When you are using it as a noun, it refers to any kind of products, and when you're referring it as a verb, it is basically the display of those products. So when we mix these two words together, visual merchandising, it is about displaying the products in a most attractive and appealing way to engage the customers for them to buy. So this is what the visual merchandising is. It is very important in a retail environment. Now, originally, when visual merchandising, the concept of visual merchandising started, it was basically for the physical retail stores, because that is what we had in those days. But over last a decade or so, with the onslaught of so many other channels on the digital platforms, or rather on the online platforms, we have visual merchandising principles being adopted on those platforms as well. So why visual merchandising is essential? Visual merchandising is basically, takes care of the four different aspects of a human or a consumer's interest. So it attracts the attention of the consumer. It creates an interest in the consumer. It propels, or it encourages the decision making of the consumer and converts into the action of eventual buying. So basically, these three things come into picture when we talk about the visual merchandising. We'll talk this in detail as we move forward. Visual merchandising is necessary to convert a walk by to a walk in, and from a stopper to a shopper. So what does that mean? That it so happens many times when you're walking by a retail store on a high street or in a mall, and you don't enter into it, but then suddenly you see some great visual merchandising or the displays on the shop front or on the show windows, and then you suddenly get in. So that and that's what the retailers want, because they want you to walk in, because if you don't walk in, you don't become their consumer. So from a stopper or from a walk by, you become a walk in or a shopper. To accentuate a product's appearance, features, benefits, and uses in a visually compelling and appealing way. As I said earlier in the introduction, that visual merchandising nothing but displaying products in a visually compelling and appealing way, so to promote the buying from the consumers. So it also used to accentuate product's appearance. How does the product look? What are the features of it? What are the benefits? And how do you use those products? And this is done mostly in a very, very set way, where you don't use a lot of text. And that's the second point, to convey what you want your customers to know about your products with an attractive arrangement without relying on large amounts of text. So you try to display what you want your customers to know without the help of any kind of text, or mostly it is in a visual format, to attract consumers' attention to a specific product in the myriad of thousands of products. So you enter in a store and you find there is thousands of products, but if you find a particular product or a cluster of product are displayed in a very, very efficient way somewhere, then your attention goes towards that. And that is why visual merchandising becomes so important. It drives tangible increase in consumer footfall. So obviously, as we said, that rather than being a stopper or a passerby, you become a consumer, or you get into the store. So the footfall increases. And obviously, once you are in, there are chances of you getting converted or buying something. So it also boosts the per square feet sales revenue, as they call in the retail industry. It also generates faster turnover rate. So turnover rate is nothing but you turning from just a window shopper to a consumer or a customer, and the average amount of transactions also increases. It also decreases the need of the markup and the promotions. Then obviously, because if more customers are getting into the store, more of them are buying, then you don't need so much of markdowns and promotions, because in any case you are selling your stuff. So that is some of the reasons as to why it is required. Now, moving on to the hows of the visual merchandising, as to how it is done. I will just speak about a few of the fundamentals which are generally used in the visual merchandising. We will go into the details of it as to how it is practically done in the upcoming slides. So the first fundamental of any visual merchandising is the floor plan space design. I mean, you need to look at as to what your floor plan is, what the space retail spaces design is, because when you're doing your visual merchandising, it is not only about displaying the product, it's also about as to how and where you do it within the store space. So as you must have seen that in any of the retail stores, you've got the floor space, you've got the wall space, you've got the ceilings, you've got the back of house, you've got the show windows, shop front, entrance, everything. So the entire area needs to be considered as one when thinking of the visual merchandising. Traffic flow, how the customers are going to walk in. So most of your products display has to be done in such a way that it comes within the way of the and the eyesight of the customer's flow. Story, all the whatever visual merchandising space you create, it needs to convey a story. So it cannot be just a display of many products just to make it a little better than the general storage. It needs to convey some kind of a story, because a story speaks louder than anything else. And when the customers understand that story, they are more compelled to buy that product. So that is the reason why you need to have a story. These stories can be based on many things, one of which could be seasonal, like based on the season of what is going on around you. Based on that, you can create the story. It could be section-wise display. So what happens is that in many of the multi-gender stores, you might have a men's section, or a gents or a female section, or a children's section. Similarly, you might have category-wise sections, where in one part of the like it happens in the supermarket, where you have one part where you have all the kitchen items, and the other part you might have the toiletries and so on. Planogram. Now, this is one thing which is a very technical term used in the visual merchandising space. Planogram is nothing but how are you going to display those things, arrange those things in that setup. So we spoke about the story, we spoke about creating clusters. So planogram is nothing but within that cluster, how are you going to arrange each and everything. And then, so that is about that cluster. And when you have so many different clusters around the store, then planogram also talks about which cluster goes where. So it's the arrangement of all those products within the cluster and the clusters within the store. Adjacency is very important when you are displaying the products, because we do not want to display one kind of product and create a story around it. It's always good to have a mix of different products, but they need to be related to each other. So for example, if you're going to a menswear store, if you're creating a visual merchandising space for shirts, let's say, you might have the trousers next to it, because obviously if a man is buying a shirt, he might be interested in buying a trouser also. So you are creating adjacency, the proximity to other products within the store, and that way you are also encouraging the cross selling. The last point is the competitors and customers. You need to analyze your competitors and the customer profile. Competitors in the sense, because it is always good to learn and inspire from how they are displaying their products. And also, if you know your customer profile, then you will know as to what do they like. Are they looking for a value through low prices, or they are the luxury or customer who are looking for a differentiation. Now, I will get into the details of how this whole planogram thing is done. So I've divided it basically into two parts, the exterior part and the interior parts. Now, since we are talking visual merchandising only from the perspective of the physical retail store, that is where the exterior and interior come into picture. This might not be, applicable in the case of online channels and the visual merchandising on the online channels. So when we say exterior of any retail stores consists of two things. One is the storefront, which is basically the entrance and the signage, and second is the show windows. Show windows might be there or might not be there, but the entrance and signage are always there. So this is the space which you can, is the first focal point for any consumer. So, and the whole journey of a consumer starts from that point itself. Obviously, the brand has its own value, but then if you're just passing by and if you see something, the first point, what you see is what is there in the shop front. And that is why if you see some of the examples are given here. So at the left bottom corner, you have DKNY, how beautifully they have arranged their storefront. The entrance is very neat and clean. The signage is it doesn't look like a signage, a standard signage. They have used the words DK, the letters DKNY very efficiently behind the glasses. And then obviously you can see the three windows at two levels. And the whole shop front is glass shop front, so you are able to see through the entire store, and that is what makes this visually appealing. Similarly, when you speak about this, the Jara photo here, this is basically the just inside the entrance. So they have used this as a focal point for a customer. So a passerby, when they see it, it creates an interest, and then they go in. Similarly, the three show windows are shown here, Gucci, Crave, and the one at the top. And all of three, if you can see that they have used different stories around them. As we said earlier, that we need to create stories around it. So there are stories, there is use of colors, use of props, lighting, everything. So as we move forward, we will know as to how each of these elements come into picture in an efficient visual merchandising. Now, we go to the interiors now. So interiors, when we talk about the interiors, there are two things which will come from the perspective of the visual merchandising. One is the fixtures. The fixtures could be on the wall, on the floor, on the wall, on the floor, and on the ceiling. And then also you must have seen mannequins being used mostly in the apparel store. When we say the fixtures, as you can see on the top two photographs and the ones, the top the two in the middle, they've used different kinds of fixtures, the tables, different sizes of the tables, different shapes of the tables. And then on the walls, you've got shelves, the hanging shelves, or the fixed shelves where you can have the folding clothes, or you can have the hanging ones. So this is the way generally most of the apparel store use their floor and the wall space. And then when you want to hang it from the ceiling, so in your left bottom corners, you have two pictures where the merchandising has been hung from the ceiling. So that's the efficient use of the ceiling as well. And we talked about the mannequins. So on the left, on the right bottom, you see how 5 different mannequins have been utilized to merchandise the product. So the different heights have been used, different types of the mannequins have been used, and then you can see that each of those mannequins are displaying a different product. So this is how the interior space is used. While we are on the interiors, there are some more elements which come into pictures. Props is like using something to enhance the whole visual merchandising experience. So in these top 2 photographs, you can see in one of them this wheel cart has been used as a prop, and in the second one the horse is used as a prop. The second is space design. We spoke about this in the first slide also, that your space has to be designed in such a way that it creates a kind of interest, a visual interest. It has the space for the consumers to walk around and also create pleasing, attractive and appealing spaces within that design. So the one here has got all those elements being displayed in an efficient space design. Interactive displays. So nowadays, you've also seen that most of the stores have gone digital. So you might be seeing digital screens which can be used for wayfinding, which can be used to see the product features, which can also be used to have the advertisements playing all the times, and so on. So these are different elements in the interiors of the store which are being used to do the visual merchandising. Now we will look at the principles of effective merchandising as to how do you effectively do the visual merchandising. Most of the visual merchandisers with any retailers or the brands know all these principles, and that's how it is done. We as consumers might not notice it, but that's how they create this magic. So the placement is very much important. Now, when we say placement, we're talking about the placement of the products, because that's how the visual merchandising work. So the placement can be horizontally or vertically. As we can see, mostly the supermarkets, they do it vertically. Yeah, they also do it horizontally, but mostly their shelves go much higher, and that's why it is mostly used in the vertical merchandising of the different products. So here, the bottom right corner, you can see a supermarket merchandising their products in a vertical manner. And similarly, in wine shops, you might have seen that all the bottles are displayed in a vertical fashion. Whereas on the left bottom corner, you see apparel shop which has done their merchandising mostly in a horizontal way. So they have not gone vertically, they have spread it out horizontally. Now this horizontal or vertical merchandising can happen in different ways. It could be done in a category wise. So you see in this bottom left picture that most of the shirts are hung on the rails at the back, and then the folded t-shirts and the trousers are there in the front side on the tables. So these are category wise differentiation of it. It could be based on the colors, which is generally done in most of the stores, which we will see in the following slides. Second placement could be in terms of the pyramid or in terms of stacking. Pyramid visual merchandising is used when you want to have a focal point. So you start with a wide base and then you go up. So as you can see in these 2 pictures or 3 pictures here, where the bottom is much wider, so you have a lot of product at the bottom, and as you move forward, it becomes lesser and lesser. So you can have a pyramid of all the products, like is there in the top first left photograph, and you can also create a pyramid where the focal point at the top is some kind of a graphic or a product. Details are given or something like that. Stacking, as you can see on the bottom left picture, stacking, the merchandising or the products are displayed in stacks. So you can see that the same product is being stacked in 3 different shelves, and the differentiation might be in terms of their sizes or their color, but otherwise from the front they all look the same. So that is one way of efficiently doing a visual merchandise. When we talk about the placement, it also needs to look at the symmetry and the balance. When we say symmetry means it is same. So you are creating a left side of it or right side of it or a top side or a bottom side of it. Both are symmetrical. So as you can see in the bottom two pictures, that the left and right are symmetrical, and the bottom right picture, there are two mannequins in a show window which are exactly similar to create that kind of a balance. On the top photograph, you can see the symmetry has been created by having the same color from top to bottom. So you've got things which are hanging from the wall, from the ceiling, are in the same color. Then the background of the wall is in that color, and then also the mat on the floor is also in the same color. So a symmetry has been created, and then balance has been created by repeating the same thing in different colors as you go on the left and the right side. While talking about the placement, while we are on the placement, we also look at the consistency and the repetition. This is again to create the focus and the attraction. So the pictures are self-explanatory here. You can see in all the three pictures, there is repetition happening. Again, the principles of the vertical and the horizontal merchandising comes into picture here as well. But here we are more talking about from the perspective of the consistency and the repetition. In the bottom picture, the repetition is happening horizontally. In the top picture, the repetition is happening. In terms of color, it is happening vertical, whereas in terms of the merchandise, you can see that they are representing a particular type of merchandise. While we are on the placement, the last thing which comes into consideration for effective visual merchandising is the storytelling and cross merchandising. We spoke about both the topics in the initial slides. So you need to tell a story. So as you can see that in the bottom right corner, it's a picture of a show window of one of the cloth apparel brand, which also sells footwear and the other stuff. So they're showing a story that you don't basically what all you can buy from that particular store. And it also is a perfect example of a cross merchandising. So you're not only selling trouser, you are also selling the hat and the bag and the footwear and the ties and the shirts and everything. So you can buy all those. In the other photographs, as you can see that here on the top left photograph, it is basically showing that you do not only buy a tea or a coffee, you can also buy the mugs there, you can buy the kettle from there, and buy other stuff. Similarly, at the bottom left one, which is basically for a gardener, that when you are doing gardening, you might need a hat. So that's what it is. And this one on the top right photograph, you can see the shoes and the headphones, which is basically for those consumers who walk casually on the roads while they are listening music or so. So it's kind of a cross-selling, also a story. Color plays a big role in visual merchandising to create impact and to show some kind of a trend. When we talk about the color, there are different kinds of feelings which are created by the use of the colors. You can create the feeling of warmth by using color like red, yellow, orange. So as you can see in the bottom left picture here, the yellow and the orange is used to create that warmth in the whole display. You can also create the feeling of coolness by using the blue, violets, and the green, which you can see in the top middle picture here. A lot of greens and the violets have been used. Feeling of harmony, feeling of intensity, different types of feelings can be created by use of different colors. Natural colors are generally used for the background, which you might see in some of the pictures in the following slides. And at times the primary colors like blue and the red are used to create to demand consumers' attention as well. So in all these pictures, you can see that the display is very much colorful, and the philosophy of the color has been used to create that that effect. Similarly, lighting and the mood also plays a lot of importance in the visual merchandising to create a kind of focus, to make the whole display impactful, and also to highlight some of the products. Three kinds of light effects are used: ambient light, task light, and the accent light. So ambient light is generally the natural light which you get all around in a store, where you are not very much focused on creating specific or you're not highlighting a specific product, then you can go for ambient lighting. When you want to highlight a product, you can be you might be using the task light, which is you can see in some of these photographs, the product is highlighted, you do not see the background, you do not see much of the surroundings of the product, but you see only the product. So most of these pictures, what you see here is based on the task light. There could be an accent light, which is basically to add a drama to the whole thing. So in these two pictures here on the left hand side, which are the pictures of the show windows, you're creating a drama around that story which has been created with the use of the light. So just think, if both these pictures do not have the light, you will not see the drama which is happening, or you not see the story which is being played here. One more concept which is used in the visual merchandising concept to create the focus is the power of one, where you are highlighting on one particular thing. So all in these three photographs, you can see that highlight is basically on there is only one thing, one product. So in the center there is a red bag, on the right hand side there is one mannequin, and then on the left hand side also there is a one mannequin with the bag in hand. So again, a story has been created, the use of light has been created, the color has been used, and also the power of one is being used here. Power of graphic is very, very, very powerful. You might have seen the stores where the graphic goes onto the walls in different formats. They could be in terms of the 3D signages, or in terms of the graphics which are directly stuck onto the walls to create a kind of a story and interest and the focus onto the merchandise. So just think about all these pictures. If these graphics were not there in these pictures, would they look the same? And the answer is very straightforward, that no. And because of the graphics, they all look so impressive. So just to wrap up the whole thing. So we spoke about the what's of the visual merchandising, the whys of the visual merchandising, and the how it is done in terms of the exterior, interiors, and then how different elements are placed horizontally, vertically, pyramidically, in different shapes and sizes. And then we ended up by having a look on the color, lighting, mood, and the different aspects of visual merchandising. Just to add to all those things, it is also very important that all these visual merchandising principles will not work if your store is not neat, tidy, and clean. It is not only about the store. Your whatever cluster you are creating needs to be neatly done. It has to be tidy and clean as well. It needs to be attractive and appealing, because that's where the whole concept lies on. It has to be creative. You can't just simply stack the products in a pyramidal form, or in a horizontal form, or a vertical form, and feel that okay, this is what merchandising is. No, you need to create a very, very creative merchandising display. The customer should be able to focus and select the product after looking at the merchandised space. The whole story should be understandable for the consumers. It has to be effective and efficiently. You need to use the space, and it cannot be just spread over the entire space and then does not create any impact whatsoever. The merchandising should be based on the occasions, or the time of the day, or the time of the week, based on which it will have more impact. You need to create stories based on some themes. We have spoken about it. Replenish timely. So there are times when some of the products go very fast from your merchandised space, and if you do not replenish it, then the whole space look very different than when it is completely replenished. Make periodic changes. You cannot have the same merchandised space for long, because things change. People's requirements change, consumers' preferences change. So you need to make sure that you keep making periodic changes, not only based on the customers' changing needs and preferences, but also based on the new products, what you get, or the seasons, or the times, or the holidays, or there's so many other things which come into picture. The last thing is that there is no place for any damaged or expiry items in your visually merchandised space. So I think I've covered a lot of information within a very short period of time. So I would encourage you to watch this video again whenever you have time. So that's about it from my side. I hope you like the session as much as I liked preparing for it. So thank you so much. These are some of the details, contact details of mine, which you can use to reach to me at different channels. And I will see you soon. Thank you so much.